Alright guys, welcome in. This is PlayStation Vita video blog number 7, and I realize it has been a little while. However, I'm happy to be back. I'm glad to be back. I hope you guys have been waiting for it, because this is going to be another jam-packed episode with lots of information. Yeah, today's a good day. Today is the day that the first edition bundle hit the US, North America, and so a lot of you already have your Vitas, so congrats on that. I hope you are enjoying it. If you have any questions or anything like that, check out my other videos or tweet at me, get at me on one of my videos, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out. Anyway, let's get right into it. This is blog number 7. A lot of people have been asking me, now that the Vita's out in the States, or at least the full rollout is coming soon, what am I going to do with this blog, with this YouTube channel? I just want to assure everyone that as long as you guys keep watching, I will keep making videos, especially gameplay videos and things like that. I will try to gear it more toward the Japanese side of things, in that, you know, I want to show off games that you guys can't get over in the States. I want to show off games that you guys might be curious about. If we happen to get games here a little earlier, try to show those off, things like Daze. Or if we get games that just have no known release over there, like Ragnarok Odyssey so far. Yeah, I want to show off as much as I can with that stuff. So if you guys want to keep watching, if you guys are interested in that, I will keep making videos on it, as long as I still have an audience. And the audience is going up. We are over 5,500 channel subscribers now, so as always, I just want to say thanks a lot to you guys. I want to say a special congratulations to Kenneth Miller, the winner of this channel and NearVita.com's Uncharted contest. I will say thanks a lot to NearVita.com for supplying the copy of Uncharted. NearVita.com will be doing more contests in the future, so be sure to check them out. I will be doing some contests of my own here as well, hopefully trying to give away more Japan-centric games. For example, possibly an upcoming giveaway of Ragnarok Odyssey, so be on the lookout for that. And the next contest will definitely be worldwide. I will get all of my viewers in on it, because I heard a lot of feedback, and a lot of you guys are not in the States, so I want you guys to be able to join the contest too. So we'll see on that in the very near future, so keep an eye on that. First up, we will be talking sales numbers, including Vita sales as well as Daze sales. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about downloadable content, mostly geared toward Ragnarok Odyssey, because there's some cool stuff that's been coming out for that. Following that, I have 2 reviews for you today. Both really awesome games too, so you guys are in luck. These are both great. First one up is Stardust Delta. The downloadable game comes off the PSN. Here it's called Stardust Delta, but over there it's called Stardust Delta. And following that, I will have a Daze review. Again, my reviews here in these blog videos are more off the cuff. I don't write anything down. I just say what comes to mind. If I miss a few things, sorry about that. They are spoiler free. You know, for games like Daze, you are free to listen. I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry about that. All right, let's get right into it. Sales numbers. Last week's sales are in. And the Vita only managed to push about 13.9 thousand units, a little over 13,900 units. It's not a good number. It's the lowest number that the Vita has hit yet. And it's surprising, because Daze numbers were great. Daze pushed 43,462 physical copies, which that alone was higher than anyone really thought it would be. We had heard shipments might be right around the 30,000 mark, so to push 43,000 there, plus whatever it's doing on PSN. And to be honest, we don't know. Sony doesn't release those numbers. I can say with full confidence that Daze has sold at least over 1,000 copies on the PlayStation Network, and I know it's definitely sold more than that. But you can say that for sure, because over 1,000 people have reviewed the game on PSN, given it a rating. And if you do that, it means that you have bought the game on PSN. The game currently maintains, with something like 1,300 or 1,400 reviews, maintains a 4.92 out of 5. Staggering, and maybe a bit of a preview for my score coming up later. That is just a 6 score. I've been surfing Japanese websites. Everyone's calling it a kamige, godly game, as opposed to the opposite there, which is a kusoge, which is a shit game. Yeah, so people have been referring to it as a kamige, or some people say it's not quite a kamige, but it's pretty damn close. It's a great game, so look forward to my review on that coming up very shortly here. But yeah, the Daze numbers, awesome. You know, the guy who made it, Toyama-san, I think it seems from his Twitter that he's pretty happy with the number. He's been getting a lot of support from a lot of fans. They're putting a soundtrack out. They're trying to follow it up with some good downloadable content. He has said that he's interested in making a sequel after the download content rolls out. This is the way to do things, and with a franchise like this being the first game in hopefully what becomes a series, a complete unknown on a console that's only sold something like 600,000 units so far. The amount of sales that it pushed are pretty damn good, actually, so I was pleasantly surprised with that. But again, on the other hand, the sales of the Vita console itself were not so hot. On that note, people have been asking me what needs to happen, what needs to be done to, you know, have the Vita sell units. It's a tough call. Everyone wants to say Monster Hunter, and that's obvious if they announced a real new Monster Hunter game. If they really did decide to go, you know, main series on Nintendo and portable series on Sony, which I'm not saying they're going to. People tend to freak out if you make any claims about Monster Hunter because we just don't know yet. If they were to go, you know, fourth portable coming out on the Vita, that would be one thing. But the thing with that is the portable games have always come out after the mainline games, and they've kind of taken a lot of things from that. So fourth portable couldn't come out until conceivably like a year plus after 4 comes out. You know, on the 3DS, if they're sticking with the way they're doing things. Another thing people are saying is, hey, well, what if they give us third portable HD? To be honest, it might be alright. It would be great if it came out in the States, because I know that you guys never got it, but I don't think Japan would really care that much. We already got third portable on the PSP. We got third HD on the PS3. People who have been playing third are pretty thirded out. I'm not saying it wouldn't push some decent sales, because people love their Monster Hunter, but everyone's already played that game. So, you know, if they did, you know, something like a Tri-G portable, or, you know, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here a little bit, but yeah, people say Monster Hunter. I'm not going to go the Monster Hunter route today. Well, I kind of just did, but yeah, I think some other things that could help Vita out, or that need to help Vita out, Sony needs to just announce some things. They talked a little bit about like a Call of Duty coming out that we haven't heard anything at all from anybody. That's not a good sign, so they need to get these things out there. And I'm not going to say that Call of Duty will sell the console, but this is the first portable that Call of Duty has a chance at selling, because, you know, it can get graphics pretty close to the PlayStation 3, close enough obviously for a Call of Duty game, and it has the dual analogs, which is just freaking huge. So a game like Call of Duty deserves to be on Vita, so we'll see. They need to get that done. And they just need to get with some Japanese developers and say, hey, we need some big games for Japan. And whether that is like, you know, taking pictures of girls in skirts and things like that, I don't know. People in Japan love that shit. Like, you know, big sellers like Love Plus on the DS, 3DS, Photokano, which just came out, like Photography Girlfriend, which just came out on the PSP. I think it's the second one in the series there. People love these games where you like take pictures of idols. I don't know. There aren't any games like that really yet on Vita. They have Dream Club. I guess that's kind of like that, but I guess if they need more games like that, I don't really know. Whatever they need to appeal to the demographic to get people to buy this thing. I mean, this has the sharpest screen, the highest, you know, it's not technically HD, it's not 720, but it's pretty close. The pixel density is much higher than a 3DS, obviously, and much more colorful. The screen's bigger. This should be the system to get games that need to be visually impressive like that, you know? A game like Love Plus on the 3DS, I actually tried the demo a little bit, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's not my thing at all. But you know, on a system like 3DS, which I'm not knocking, I own one. It's sitting right here. I'm not lying. So if you're gonna come in here and say I'm a Nintendo hater, I have a white 3DS. It's really jaggy. There's lots of jaggies on there. So you know, the system is great, much better than DS was with 3D. But I mean, games like that should really be you should really end up on Vita. You know, but obviously if the user install base isn't there, then we have a problem, because nobody will buy the game even if it's a great game. So Sony needs to do something. I don't see a price drop coming in the near future, because a price drop without games to push a price drop, it's kind of suicide. Nintendo had their price drop because they had Mario Kart and Super Mario Land coming, and that kind of, you know, helped things roll into that, and then obviously Monster Hunter and the Monster Hunter 4 announcement. So everyone who keeps saying, wow, there's going to be a price drop already, I don't think a price drop is going to do anything but cut into Sony's margin, because even if they drop the price, you know, you might get a few people on there, but it's not going to do what it did for the 3DS, because the 3DS did it a lot on the software that backed it up. Mario games and Monster Hunter. So Sony needs to get some bread and butter going on Vita. If that's Call of Duty, if that's some Japanese titles, if that's a Final Fantasy, you know, we have Final Fantasy X HD. It's like a remake on the, not a remake, sorry. Disregard that. It's not a remake. It's a you know, an upgraded port of Final Fantasy X. That's on the way. But again, is that really going to be a huge system seller? We have Persona 4 on the way, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But again, is that a system seller? These are games people have already played. So if they announce Persona 5 for the Vita tomorrow, you know, I'm not saying that's Monster Hunter level, but that could be pretty hot shit. So, you know, I'm just saying they need to do something, especially to the Japanese market. We don't know where this thing is going to end up in the U.S. yet. It just is starting to roll out now. There seems to be some general excitement, but we can't really speak on sales. We don't really know yet. So we'll have to see where it's at as far as that goes. But they need to do some things for Japan right now. And that's not Call of Duty. Call of Duty is just Vita overall. But they need to get some Japan-centric games going, some more things that Japanese people want. And that might be Final Fantasy, something like that, a big role-playing series. You know, again, Persona is another big one that sells pretty well. I'm not saying that's anywhere near the mania that is Monster Hunter. But, you know, big things like that people will go, well, you know, I could buy a Vita now with the decent games it's got out now, you know, especially a game like Gravity Days, which is not decent, but anyone right now probably wouldn't buy a Vita for Gravity Days because they're going, what's coming out in the future? But if they knew, hey, some of these big hitters were coming out in the future, they might pull the trigger now, get Vita, get Gravity Days, and wait for the big stuff to come out. Anyway, a little bit of a rant there, but we'll see what Sony will do. Hopefully they do something because they kind of need to do something. I'm not saying that the system is going to suddenly disappear if they don't, but 13,000 units, it's not a lot. So again, we'll see what the U.S. numbers bring. I know they're making a profit off of the hardware, which is a good thing. However, you still need to sell units. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to make games for your system. And we all know that Sony's first party is not like incredible. You know, they have some good games, but it's not like incredible. It can't keep the system afloat like Nintendo can. Nintendo first party is Super Mario. You know, he's known all over the world. But you know, Sony doesn't really have anything like that anymore. So they need to work with third parties and they need to get something going. Okay? Particularly for Japan, but overall, you know, gaming period. Alright, moving on, I want to talk just a little bit about Ragnarok Odyssey download stuff. Just some stuff I thought was neat that I, you know, can't really show off anywhere else. You know, it's not, yeah, I could make a video for it, maybe I will, but Ragnarok Odyssey has now had two weeks, not 2 weeks in a row. Maybe it was last week. Yeah, anyway, 2 weeks in a row of download content, and we're talking free download content. Last week it was a bunch of music tracks, which are actually Ragnarok Online music tracks, which is freaking awesome because Ragnarok Online has amazing music. This week it was a novice costumes for boy and girl. If you know Ragnarok Online, you know novice costumes, along with a novice card. This stuff is all free to download, and you can use it in your game. The music tracks are great because the game lets you select your music track before you go out on any quest, and you can use that music for the quest. So if you like the Payon music from Ragnarok Online, and you're not really feeling Ragnarok Odyssey's music, just pick the Payon track, and you can listen to the Payon music while you're doing it. Somewhere I was always leveling up in Ragnarok Online was in the Pyramids, and there's a Pyramid song. It totally reminds me of Pyramids. It's totally like a nostalgia trip, so I picked the song and listened to it while I'm playing. It's awesome. Stuff like that that's free, come on, that is amazing. Compare that to like Tales of Innocence R, which is just out, and they want you to pay like 200 yen for every little thing, 200 yen for a skanky costume, 200 yen for a regular costume. I mean, obviously everyone's going with the skanky one, but still, it's just crazy. So I want to say thanks a lot to them. They are still coming out with the online patch. It hasn't been added yet, but just little things like that are so awesome. Free music, free costumes. I am still playing Ragnarok a lot, especially now that I finished Gravity Days. I haven't cleared it, which is why I can't have a review for it yet, but I have well over 20 hours into it now, so a review is upcoming, and it is a pretty good game, I will say. It's not amazing. It's not up to, you know, Monster Hunter's level or anything like that. But it's a good game. It's a good game. It deserves to release in the West, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get into it. My reviews. Oh, one more thing. I had a lot of people asking me, because you guys are getting your Vitas now. When you turn your Vita on now, the light, wrong side there, the light is blue. Don't worry, the light is blue. Someone was saying when they got their Vita it was on 1.5 whatever, you upgrade to 1.6 and the light is blue. Is my Vita broken? for whatever reason, they decided that in 1.6, from now on, I guess, that the light will be blue, period, when you're using your Vita. It just kind of comes on. It's kind of Sony's movement toward the blue color. I guess they've been doing that since the PS2, but more of a movement toward the blue color. I guess they figured, hey, the LED's in there, why not just have it, you know, on when the system's playing? It can't be using any battery or anything like that. I don't know. I can't figure out why they decided to do that, but your Vita's not broken. I had like 4 people tweet me about that this morning, so I just thought it was funny. The blue light is okay. Don't sweat it. It's all right. All right, on to my reviews. First up, we will talk about Super Stardust Delta, a launch title in the States, $10 on PSN. Let's just start by saying this is amazing. An amazing $10. I would buy this game at $20. This is $10. Just so you have a little visual here. There you go. Stardust Delta over here in Japan. I don't have a box for it, obviously, because it's PSN only. But Super Stardust Delta over there. Let's just talk a little bit about what this is. If you've ever played Geometry Wars, it's very similar to that. You fly a little spaceship around. You're flying around a spherical globe the whole time, but it's not much different than flying around in a square like in Geometry Wars. In this, you have 2 weapons. You have fire and ice. And fire and ice are used to, if you see red stuff, you attack it with fire, and if you see blue stuff, you attack it with ice. Pretty straightforward. Sometimes ice can destroy fire, and fire can destroy ice. However, it takes more shots, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. Some enemies, if you use the wrong weapon on them, will get agitated and run at you very, very quickly. So you do have to be careful in what you choose. So the game is kind of like Geometry Wars meets Ikaruga, which is probably the best combination ever. It's great for gaming in short bursts. However, I have sat and played it for 4 or 5 hours at a time sometimes. If you're into score attacking, this is your game for $10. It's amazing. The one thing that really blew me away, I never played the original on PS3. I think the original was on PS3. Then they made a PSP, and now they have the Vita. I think. Anyway, this is my first Star Strike. Super Stardust, excuse me. This is my first one. The music blew me away. I got it on the same day that Wipeout came out, and I was like so stoked for the Wipeout soundtrack. And I started playing this, and the music in the first world is awesome. It got me so amped, and I was just like, you know what, this is so cool. You know, I love that the Vita can do custom soundtracks, but if games come out with music like that, I don't care about custom soundtracks. I'll listen to the music in the game. So the music in it blew me away. I love it. The other thing that's cool with the music is that by using Nier, you can unlock the soundtracks in the game and then use them. You have like a retro one, which I'm assuming is the old PS3 soundtrack. You got the new one, and there are other soundtracks in there as well. So I have friends still sending me like song unlocks like every single day. And that's even something on the leaderboards, who has kind of unlocked the most things through Nier. So it's very interesting. It's a cool use of Nier to be able to unlock soundtracks. Because a game like that with awesome music, that's actually a big feature of the gameplay. Anyway, the game is addicting as can be. I will sit there and be like, all right, let's just crank one out. Let's just crank one out. Let's see if I can beat my friends on the high score list. Here we go. We're going, you know, through all the worlds here. Let's crank it out. A game usually takes, I don't know. This is spitballing, but if you're going for a score run through the you know, beginning to end, for a score run on regular mode, which does not loop, you're looking at, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so I'd say, all right, let's do one of these runs. And like 3.5 hours later, I have like 8 runs under my belt, and I'm still going. And part of the cool thing is that you want to beat your friends' scores, and part of the cool thing that keeps you going is you want to beat your own scores. I would like screw up a chain just somewhere, and it would just nag me. Be like, all right, let's get this. Let's do this perfectly. There are a lot of kind of hidden little things that you can do as you're flying around. It's awesome. Also, another thing I liked is the main game basically uses a lot of the PlayStation Vita's features, including the back touch, the gyro, and a lot of things like that. However, when I'm playing a game like that, just in hardcore focus mode, I don't really want to be using all of that stuff. I don't really want to have to worry too much about the back touch to play a game that really doesn't require the back touch. They have a mode in there called Pure, where you don't need to use any of the touch anythings at all. So awesome. I'm very glad that they put that in there. Your scores for that and the scores from the touch mode are the same, so very cool. The only knock I'm going to give it in that way is that with the touch, you know, with the regular mode, with all the touch features and things like that in there, there are more specials. There are different specials. There are like 3 or 4 different specials in there. Whereas in pure mode, all you have is your EMP, your bomb. I wish there was like some way to use LNR or something, some way to flip through specials. because the specials are just one button. Obviously in pure mode you hit the button and it goes, the EMP goes off. Wish there was just some way to flip through that so you could get all those different specials in pure mode. That was just one thing that nagged me a little bit. I was like, oh hey, I don't know what these specials are. And I was talking to my friend and he's like, oh, you only played pure mode? Well, they're only in the other mode. I'm going, oh, that's kind of lame. I wish, you know, I understand that they, you know, don't want to use the touchscreen and stuff in pure mode, but there's some way control-wise to flip through it. There's got to be some way. So that kind of nagged me a little bit. Overall, the game is solid. Content-wise, there's not like a lot. It's a score attack game. So if that's not really your thing, and if you're not into music and just kind of general, just fun, old school style gaming, it might not really be your thing. I still feel like it's worth $10 though. But yeah, I mean, just the content-wise, there's like 5 worlds. There are a lot of mini games in there, which is really cool. Some of them are pretty lame, and some of them are actually really cool. And even your mini game scores are ranked, so you can compare them to your friends. There's one trophy for each mini game in there. There's no platinum because this is a $10 PSN game. There's a gold trophy, and yeah, there are a bunch of trophies in there though. But yeah, some of those mini games are cooler than others. They all kind of use some of the different features of the Vita in one way or the other. So you can hold it where you're like rolling a ball around and you're trying to hit certain things but not other things. You've got another one where you're looking around with the gyro shooting at things. So it's, yeah, those kind of mini games. They're fun. I don't really think that now that I've got the trophy I'll go back and really play any of them, just because the main game is amazing. It's awesome. That's what we want to play. So I'm looking forward to more people getting this game, getting up on the high score list, and I think I still have the highest score on my friends list, which is not an amazing score. It's a pretty good score, but I'm still working on that amazing score, getting everything perfectly chained and finding new things that I don't know in there to get a higher score. That's kind of what this game is all about. It's a very, very fun game. For $10, you cannot go wrong. I heard that there's already downloadable content for it, like an expansion pack already in the States for like an extra $5, but I haven't seen anything here in Japan and I haven't heard anything about it. So if there's more content there, you know, for another $5, I will definitely buy it because that's very cheap. But as it is, yeah, it seems like, you know, you kind of wish there was like a little more content, a bunch of new worlds or something like that. I just want to add that with hard mode in there, you do play the same 5 worlds, but you loop through them over and over and over again until you lose all your ships. So getting a high score on there, I mean, your score could essentially go to infinity. Whereas on normal mode, you're playing one loop. You're trying to get the highest score on one loop. So that's more about, I guess, finding out the exact best way to chain in the time that you have. So they're both, you know, in their own individual ways, very cool. If you're someone who feels like you're a survivor, you can do that hard mode and just keep looping it and looping it and looping it and try to keep your high score going. And if you're someone who's really clever, you like to figure out new things, you like to keep your chain going, more of a short burst gamer, you can play that normal mode, go through 1 to 5, and see what kind of score you can come up with. Some Japanese gamers have some pretty sick scores on there. Not quite sure how they got as high as they did, but I want to figure it out, and that's one thing about the game that just keeps me going. Very, very fun. Anyway, in closing, I'm going to give Stardust Delta, Super Stardust Delta, a 9 out of 10. It is an amazing game. It is very fun for $10. You cannot go wrong. Yeah, it's not quite perfect. I wish there was a little more content in there, but again, you know, for $10, it's actually quite right. It's just not quite perfect, and I wish I could have used those special attacks in the regular mode, in pure mode. For a game like this, you know, there's not really a lot to criticize, but you can't quite give it the 10 just because it doesn't do that extra special, you know, little bit, I guess. But this is a solid 9 out of 10. Up until the point when this game came out, I was surprised. I think this was my favorite Vita game, which was insane because I got Wipeout the same day, and I love Wipeout. Look to my Wipeout review if you haven't seen that. I loved Wipeout, but I think I had more fun with this game even, which is crazy. It's a $10 game. So anyway, this game gets a 9 out of 10. It's awesome. Moving right along, the next review. Oh, wow, I'm off to the side there. This is Gravity Daze. Okay, it's going to be called Gravity Rush when it comes out over there in the States. Hopefully, we're still here in kind of May, but they haven't made an official announcement yet. If you've seen any of my videos about this game, I think I have the demo video and 2 other videos on it. Talked about it a lot. This game lived up to all the hype. It's an amazing game. The feeling that I got when playing it reminded me of Japanese games I used to play when I was much younger. There was a certain feeling that's just been lost over the years, and it's kind of me growing up, and it's kind of Japanese games getting shitty. But this game, it just does it. It does everything nice. It's a perfect package. Let's just talk a little bit about the game's mechanics. Check out my videos if you haven't. The first one is completely spoiler-free, really. The second one where I show off all the areas. If you don't want to see the areas, you don't have to watch that one, but you can see some of the beauty in the game there. Huge, huge city for you to fly around in. Gravity Daze is an open-world game. If this is the first you're hearing about Gravity Daze, pause this, go look at videos of the game, because that will do a much better job. This is more just me shooting off the cuff and reviewing the game. Go watch it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Pretty much anyone who has seen videos on this game is just stoked for it. I have a lot of friends who love, Nintendo. They're more into 3DS gaming, and that's great. That's fine with me again. And even they are like, man, I want Gravity Daze. It's not enough to sell a Vita to them because, again, nothing is really on the horizon. But it's like everyone who sees this wants this. It's an amazing game. So yeah, first of all, presentation. The entire world is awesome. The graphics are cool. They're kind of cel-shaded, but not completely cel-shaded. Gives it a nice cartoony look. A lot of the cutscenes are done through a comic book style, and using the gyro, you can kind of even look around the pages of the comic book, which is sweet. Awesome little touches like that help the presentation a lot. The hand-drawn comic book, kind of anime style cutscenes are great. The art is amazing. I screenshotted a lot of those just because they looked so awesome. It's just a great, great feel on presentation. Adding to the presentation, the music, I think, is the thing that blew me away. I was very excited for this game because I had kind of read a lot about it, but reading about a game and knowing what it's going to kind of be like and seeing some promotional videos here and there, you don't get a feel for the music at all. I mean, you might hear the one track that they put in the promotional video. Man, every track in this game, every music track is just insane. It's just awesome. I don't buy a lot of game soundtracks, and if I do, I'll kind of download them. Download them on iTunes or something like that. I'll buy them through iTunes. I just don't go out and buy a lot of game soundtracks, especially here in Japan. Game soundtracks are pretty expensive here. They're like the equivalent of $35–40 a lot of the time. You can get a game for that kind of money. However, this one, as soon as they announced that a soundtrack was coming out for it and the link was up on Amazon, I reserved it. I'm going to buy the soundtrack, which comes out in late March. So I'm stoked about that. The music is just so good. It's really like that good. It's just crazy how I think it's kind of because the Vita has a nice kind of speaker setup, or I almost don't even want to say that, but the Vita is good for media, obviously, the beautiful screen, and it's got nice speakers and things like that. I don't know if that's what they're taking advantage of, but between games like Star Strike, Wipeout, Gravity Daze, I've heard some freaking awesome gaming music in the last few months. Just incredible. Just kind of blows my mind. It's amazing. So I'm very happy about that. It's just great. I don't really know what to say. It's awesome. So anyway, yeah. Music is good. The gameplay is very, very nice. It's very, very good. It's very fluid. I think some people will probably complain about the graphics and the draw distance and things like that. Often you can see very far into the distance, at least buildings and that kind of stuff. But sometimes enemies get drawn in a little late. They'll pop up. They'll kind of pop out of nowhere. These things happen. It's not really a detractor, and almost never is it kind of disturbing, or is it kind of like, oh, whoa, where the hell did that come from? Although it does happen a couple of times. There are some missions where you are traversing a very, very long distance. I think you will be very surprised. I was incredibly surprised. One of the earlier missions around 12, I guess not early, but around the middle there, around 12, just insane. The amount of distance that you cover, it's just sick. The game is open world. Check out my other videos. The game is open world, and it's just awesome. It's a living, breathing world. Yeah, it's great. So I think I've talked enough about the positive points of it. It's a magical game, which might sound silly to some of you, but it's a very magical game. So this is one to definitely check out. Some of the negative points I talked about, again, the graphics. Some people might find the pop up a little glaring there. Really minor details here. Sometimes your view will get a little distorted or screwed up, and of course that comes hand in hand with the fact that you're like full 360-degree rotational gravity going on there. Well, yeah, obviously that kind of thing is going to happen. So sometimes it's hard to get the camera straight. Sometimes the air jump kick, you'll end up missing an enemy and fly way by them. It can get a little frustrating if you just barely miss them and end up flying by them. And the loading times are a little bit long sometimes. The loading for the main world is great. It loads pretty a little lengthy at the beginning. If you see my video again, you'll see it. But once you're in, and there's almost no loading past that. However, once you want to jump into the challenges, jumping into a challenge, you get a decent loading screen. Then jumping back out of a challenge, again, it's loading the whole world, so you get another decent loading screen there. So there is that, okay? But again, these are pretty much the only complaints. Another praise for the game is that the story is not so ridiculously convoluted that it's just stupid, like a lot of Japanese game stories are these days. If you've played a lot of Japanese games in the last 5 years, you know what I'm talking about. Some of these stories are just awful. They don't make any sense. They want to be like, oh, I'm so profound. Look at this. Figure it out for yourself. And I like figure it out for yourself. I like think about it. Gravity Daze does that, honestly, in the story pretty damn well. But some of those are just so ridiculously over the top. It's not a story at all in the first place, you know. It's ripped straight from an anime or, you know, it's something like that, and it just doesn't work well in games for a lot of these games. The story's just ridiculous. This game has a nice story. It doesn't go over the top. It's, you know, I'm not going to spoil it, but it leaves certain things up to interpretation, which is great. It's a good one to think about. So anyway, in conclusion with this game, it's a magical game. It'll give you that Japanese feel that you used to get in games. A lot of hard work was obviously put into making this game. I cannot believe, and I've heard this from a few people that have played it, and I totally agree, I cannot believe that the Vita got a game of this quality this early. Like, seriously. I think this is, and I'm stating, I'm not like thinking, this is the best handheld game of the current generation. And I'm talking 3DS and Vita. And to have a game like that already, it's amazing because we're still in launch window here, even in Japan, really. And the Vita's just coming out in the States. Incredible. Incredible. So yeah, I think this is the best handheld game of the current generation. For people asking how long it is, it took me about 15 hours to beat the game with some decent exploration time in there, as well as me being a pretty slow reader. Obviously, I played through it in Japanese. The Japanese version and the upcoming Chinese version do not have any English, so don't bother importing them if you want to get the story and everything, because they don't have any English. Just wait for the English version. Another question a lot of people have been asking. The story is good, though, but yeah, it takes me a little longer to read than most people. But that, you know, maybe added maybe an hour. I kind of doubt even that much, because for the most part, I'm a quick reader. Occasionally, I have to look something up or just go a little more slowly through something. But yeah, this game gets a 10 out of 10. It gets a 10 out of 10. It gets the first 10 out of 10 here in the PlayStation Vita video blog, and I don't know that there's anything really coming up on the horizon that's even looking like a 10 out of 10. I guess we'll see. I guess Persona 4 could do it. It's one of my more favorite games out there, but we'll have to see how the port turns out. But anyway, Gravity Daze easily gets a 10 out of 10. Again, I did state some of the points, loading times, some of the graphics that are negative points, but they're not enough to bring it down at all. Overall, the whole thing, it's a masterpiece. It's deserving of a 10 out of 10. I think, as I was talking about earlier, this is a Kamige. It's an amazing game. Game is just absolutely good, great. Buy it. I think I'm going to buy the US version as well because I want to see how the translation turned out, and it just helps support the game. So, and it's a game that as soon as I finished it, I even platinumed it, which took about 17.5 hours total. You can platinum it on your first playthrough no matter what. By the way, people were asking me about missables. There are no missables, so don't worry about that. At least major missables, like to platinum a game. But yeah, I think I'll play it again. As soon as I finished it, I wanted to start it up again. I just have so much gaming backlog right now I'm trying to get through. But yeah, this is a great game, and I will play through it again here. It's very, very good. So anyway, there's Gravity Daze. So a 10 for Gravity Daze, Gravity Rush, and a 9 for Super Stardust Delta. Alright, this is getting pretty long, so that is the final point there. There are some upcoming games, just nothing really big. Japan doesn't have, Lumines yet is April, Rayman is April, some games that you guys are already getting. Ninja Gaiden's coming up soon, so I'll talk a little bit about that and show that one off probably. And Unit 13 is also coming out here in March. I think it's coming out over there in March. So if that turns out good, that's one I will probably pick up. We'll have to see how it turns out. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Sorry it took me so long to get another blog up. I hope you've enjoyed watching this one, and I hope you're out there enjoying your Vitas, if not now, very soon. And I'll try to get back to a regular weekly schedule and try to show more gameplay off. Just try to make more videos. Work has been very, very busy for me lately, but I will try to do what I can. Again, seriously, thanks for watching. You guys are the best. Look for upcoming contests as well as lots more videos coming up. Alright, thanks guys.